over 40 hours worth of content on YouTube. If he is right, then you are calling God a hateful bigot. More than that, if he is right, then you are encouraging people to go against God's design. Mike Winger recently put out a video that has gotten a lot of controversy. As being that I have recommended Mike Winger multiple times on this channel, really given a blanket endorsement. I've even used that term, blanket endorsement. I felt that this was, I think, a good opportunity to jump in and maybe address some of this, give my take on what's going on. And I don't see anything wrong with what he did. For anyone that does not know, Mike Winger did a series about women in ministry, and the series was lengthy. It took him about 2 years to get all the videos out. Over 40 hours worth of content on YouTube that is for free. And it took obviously even longer than that, doing the prep work and stuff like that, and really building up and leading up to this. And that's just the over 40 hours is just the finished product. Mike ended up he actually went into it wanting to be egalitarian, which is don't have a difference of roles between men and women. And what he ended up finding was that's not what the Bible teaches. And there's a lot that goes into this. Obviously, 40 hours of teaching. I do want to kind of summarize a couple of points that he kind of comes to over and over and over. And I would recommend anyone that wants to know more about this, go watch. I will link that playlist of his in the description. But if you want to start off, go watch his summary video, and then he goes over each different specific issue, and with each different issue, he kind of gives obviously a summary, but then he tells you like what video he addressed that in and stuff like that. So then if you want to go further, you can go back or start from the beginning and just watch through. He does a really good job breaking stuff down. But there are a couple things I wanted to address that I've seen. So of the comments that I've seen, and there have been a lot on X, on Facebook, YouTube, of the comments I've seen, 95% of the comments have been nothing more than a personal attack against Mike. Not someone addressing a point that he's made, not someone addressing an argument that he's made, not someone trying to refute him. Simply people saying that he is a bigot, that he wants nothing more than to just push his view on people and subjugate women, and he just wants to be a domineering person and all this other stuff. And you are showing that you are completely ignorant of specifically of Mike on this topic. That is not at all the case. Like I said, he actually went into this wanting to be egalitarian, and that's not what he found. So that, like I said, that was probably about 95% of the comments I've seen. The remaining 5% of the what I would call the actual intellectual critiques are things that Mike's already addressed in his video. He's already talked about. So that doesn't really leave a whole lot of wiggle room. Now, I want to kind of look at how a few different things that we can look at with this. And I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. I do think this is something he's put the work in on. You need to go check out his content. At the very least, go watch his summary. And he does a good job of really condensing it all down into that. It's still like a 4.5 hour video still, but it is good. It's worth watch. So a couple things to point out. The egalitarian view is a new belief. It has not been the belief throughout church history. Um, it is new. And when we have a new belief, and Mike brings this up, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It could still be right based on that. But when we have a new belief that has not been around church history, there's no evidence of it, we have to wonder, okay, why are we just now getting this right? Why is this just now coming up? Why didn't the early church fathers have this take? Um, Something else that stood out. Pretty much every egalitarian argument that Mike went through, and he went through a lot. Pretty much every argument took scripture out of context, or they cited a source that didn't back up their claim at all, or they cited history that was just completely false. As an example, one argument is that one of Paul's letters is actually targeted to a church that in the area had a cult that was very heavy in female leadership, and they would bring in heresy and stuff. And so that's why he said it was just targeting that one church at that one time because of this cult. But there's no evidence whatsoever that this cult was primarily female leadership. Actually, it looks to be the opposite, that they were male leaders. So things like that. Or I don't remember who it was, but someone had cited a source, and Mike went to the source that she cited, and she said that the source backed up this point she was making, and then he went to the source, and it basically was saying the opposite. It was not backing up what she said at all. So, like I said, Mike has done the work on this, and one kind of final point I want to bring up on this isn't going to be a super long video, but it's one that I wanted to bring up and touch on, especially because I recommend Mike Winger so much. I want people to kind of understand here why I do. He is of everyone that I see, that I watch regularly, or that I have just seen in passing, he is probably the one that comes with the most humility, and just love for the word, and making sure that he is understanding it correctly and passing that along to other people correctly. Anybody that's criticizing Mike, I want you to think this through. I'm not saying you have to go along with him. I'm not saying that you have to say he's right. At least hear out the arguments that he's making. Stop making personal attacks. Listen to what he is saying. And this is why. Because if he is right, then you are calling God a hateful bigot. More than that, if he is right, then you are encouraging people to go against God's design. Maybe he's wrong. It's possible. I'm gonna be honest. I've watched through all of the content. I've watched through all 40 plus hours, and I don't see a way that you can get to an egalitarian view. Doesn't mean definitively that it is wrong. It could be right, possibly. Maybe there's some misunderstanding there, but I don't see really any way that it shakes out that way. But if there is a reason for leadership to be male, and that's been established by God, we have no place to question that. And he goes into, in his videos, it's not exclusively a his summary was phenomenal. How he broke this down in the summary, and it's not just I have all the power, you have to listen to me. He does a really good job of breaking it down and showing how to apply it practically in tons of different roles. Some in marriage, and then in church, like eldership and leadership and pastor, and even like I guess in like politics and um, a ton of stuff. So I highly recommend it. Um, but like I said, if he's right, then you are encouraging people to disobey God. And regardless of what they're disobeying God on, um, if you're in a position of leadership and you're not doing the work and you're just blanket giving a statement like this, I there's going to be some accountability for that at some point, and that is, yeah, that's just not a good side to be on. But I would encourage everyone, whether you agree with him or not, at the very least, go listen to a summary. If you want to check out what he says on a particular issue within that issue and try to pick it apart, go find. He'll tell you like, okay, I got to this. This is what in the conclusion he'll say. Um, Kind of this was the claim. This is where I settled on it, and you can get a more detailed explanation of this in video 1 or 5 or whatever. There's I think the conclusion was video 13, and yeah. But I like I said, I highly recommend everyone needs to go and watch this if you whether you have an opinion on this or not. Um, at least hear out what he has said, because it is a kind of big issue. It's not salvation. It's not affecting salvation. It is a secondary issue. People that disagree on this are still brothers and sisters, and but it is something that I think we should evaluate and we should look at.